All right, welcome to this A5E Explainer. I'll be your instructor today, and look, we're diving straight into Chapter 1, Part 2 of the Advanced 5th Edition Rules Brief for Combat Mechanics.
Now, what's absolutely crucial here is that we're looking at the source material exactly as it's written. We're going to systematically map out every single numerical threshold and modifier you need to actually survive. There's no room for speculation here. Every word, every phrase, and every number is critical. So focus up as we present these mechanics precisely as they appear in the text. Consider this agenda our syllabus for today. We're moving chronologically. Actions and attacks, range and melee, damage and resistance, massive damage and dying, fatigue and doom, and finally, healing and temp HP. Let's start right at the top with Section 1, Actions and Attacks. Okay, so the rules lay out a very strict 3-step procedure for making an attack. Step 1, you select a target within your reach or range. To do this, you generally need line of sight, meaning a straight line where light passes, and line of effect, which just means an unobstructed path that objects can pass through. Step 2, apply modifiers. This is where the narrator determines cover, advantage, disadvantage, or any expertise dice. And finally, Step 3 is resolving the attack. You roll that d20, add your modifiers, and check it against the target's armor class. The math here is simple but extreme. Rolling a natural 20 on an attack roll is a critical hit. It's always a success, and it doubles your attack's damage. On the flip side, rolling a natural 1 is a critical fumble. Automatic miss no matter what your modifiers are. Let's talk about unseen attackers, because this is where things get tense. If you can't see your target, you've got disadvantage. If they can't see you, you get advantage. But what if the target is totally unseen and undetected? Well, you literally have to guess what space they occupy. And if you guess wrong, the narrator's just going to say you missed, giving away absolutely no information. Also, if both of you are unseen to each other, everybody's just attacking with disadvantage. Moving right along to Section 2, Range and Melee. You absolutely must keep these exact range conditions in mind. Ranged attacks have a normal range and a long range. If you're aiming at something further than your normal range, you're rolling with disadvantage. Beyond long range, you literally cannot even target it. And here's a huge one to remember. If you make a ranged attack while you're within the reach of a hostile creature, you're taking disadvantage on that attack. Now for opportunity attacks. This is a single melee attack you take as a reaction right before a hostile creature drops their guard by moving out of your reach. But pay close attention to the explicit exemptions here. The disengage action, forced movement, like being pushed, and teleportation, none of those provoke opportunity attacks. All right, let's dive into two-weapon fighting. When you take the attack action using a non-heavy weapon in one hand, you can burn your bonus action to attack with the different melee weapon in your offhand. But here is the specific catch from the text. You do not add your ability modifier to the damage of that offhand attack, unless that modifier happens to be negative. Also, if you have the extra attack feature, you can actually use your bonus action to make 2 attacks with that offhand weapon. Next up, Section 3, Damage and Resistance. Here is the definitive list of damage types straight from the source. It's critical for figuring out resistances. You're dealing with acid, bludgeoning, cold, fire, force, lightning, necrotic, piercing, poison, psychic, radiant, slashing, and thunder. So mathematically speaking, having resistance means you take exactly half damage, while vulnerability means you take twice the damage. You apply these after all your other modifiers. And a golden rule to remember, 2 instances of resistance or vulnerability affecting the exact same damage never stack. Period. Now, critical hits double your damage, but you can actually block them at a high cost. When you take a crit, you can turn it into a regular hit by either sacrificing an equipped shield or choosing to suffer fatigue. As for ongoing damage, that hits you at the end of each of your turns, and unless it explicitly names a damage type, it completely bypasses standard resistances and vulnerability. Section 4, Massive Damage and Dying. Listen closely, because this is the exact massive damage threshold. If you are dropped to 0 hit points by damage equal to or greater than 20 plus triple your character level, you are rolling a DC 15 Constitution saving throw. Fail it, you die instantly. Succeed, you live, but you instantly suffer 1 level of fatigue and 1 level of strife. If you survive massive damage but you're dying, you roll a d20 at the start of your turn. A 10 or higher is a success. Keep track, 3 successes makes you stable, 3 failures means you're dead. If you roll a natural 1, you take a level of fatigue and a level of strife, but roll a natural 20, you instantly regain 1 hit point, wake up, and get to take the rest of your turn right then and there. Taking damage while you're dying is just devastating. If you're attacked at 0 hit points, the attacker actually chooses whether to make you suffer a death save failure, 1 level of fatigue, or 1 level of strife. Any other type of damage is just an automatic failure. Thankfully, an ally can use an action and a DC 10 medicine check to stabilize you, which halts the saves entirely. Once stable, you recover 1 hit point after 1d4 hours. Section 5, Fatigue and Doom. You need to watch out for the specific triggers for fatigue. You gain a level when you fall unconscious from damage during an encounter, when you take a critical hit while at 0 hit points, or, like we said earlier, when you use your reaction to block a critical hit. But what's really interesting here is that the actual effects of the fatigue you gain during combat, they're explicitly delayed until the end of the encounter. But don't let it build up. Accruing 7 levels of fatigue guarantees the doomed condition. This means you've taken such sustained damage to your body, mind, and spirit that you're totally beyond the help of normal recovery. You're going to need powerful magic like regeneration or resurrection just to spare you from death at this point. Finally, Section 6, Healing and Temp HP. Recovery works under very rigid parameters. Monsters usually just die at 0 HP, though you can use a melee attack to pull off a non-lethal knockout, inflicting a level of fatigue while keeping them stable. For you, remember that healing can never exceed your max HP. Crucially, while you can cure your first level of fatigue during a long rest basically anywhere, recovering from 2 or more levels strictly requires resting at a dedicated haven. Let's lock in this final mechanic: temporary hit points. Think of these as a totally separate, non-stackable buffer. If you get new temp HP while you already have some, you just decide which batch to keep. And surprisingly enough, you can even receive temporary hit points while you are dying at 0 HP. They'll still absorb incoming damage, though they won't wake you up. And, unless stated otherwise, they vanish when you take a long rest. We've thoroughly covered these strict mechanics of A5e combat, reading the rules exactly as written. So will your party meticulously apply these precise mechanics to survive the threat of doom? Or will ignorance cause you to fall to massive damage? Keep these exact thresholds explicitly in mind for your next tabletop encounter. Until next time, stay focused and keep learning.